Nicky Morgan.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr Deputy Speaker, for allowing this time for this debate. The issue of the upgrade and electrification of the Midland Main Line has rumbled on for a number of years now, and I'm delighted to have an opportunity to raise it with my right honourable friend, the Minister, in a little more detail than is usually possible in departmental questions. In fact, the subject of today's debate is particularly topical given that the Prime Minister himself travelled on an East Midlands train via the Midland Main Line up to the East Midlands today. As can be seen from the number of MPs from both sides of the House who are still here at this late hour, although perhaps not as late as some of us had anticipated, and those such as my friend, the member for Mid Derbyshire, who cannot be here tonight but have sent messages of support, this is a subject which is of interest to MPs across the Midlands. My right honourable friend will be aware of the letter from members representing 20 seats in the Midlands which I recently sent to her, which outlined our support for the upgrade and electrification of the Midland Main Line. I am sure I speak for a number of honourable members when I say this is a train line which we all know extremely well. Of course.
Delighted that the Honourable Lady has secured this debate. It's something that many honourable members feel very strongly about. Would she agree that not only is this about cutting journey times, but also saving money in the running of the railway each year? I think something to the tune of £60 million.
I thank the honourable member very much indeed for his intervention. He's absolutely right. There are many benefits. I'm going to set out 5 key benefits later on in my speech. And he's absolutely right to say that cutting the running costs of the railway on an annual basis is one of the main benefits which the upgrades and electrification would bring. Yes, of course.
Congratulations to her securing this debate. But it's not just about saving money, it's about unfairness. And as I look at the figures, I think there's over £12 billion being invested in railways and only 200 on the Midland Main Line. Is that part of her debate's findings?
It is indeed. I'm not sure how long the honourable gentleman's been in the House, but I suspect it's probably longer than I've been a member of the House. But I think he's absolutely right. One of the things I'm going to come on to say is I think that the Midlands sometimes is too good at standing back and letting other regions get investment. And I think that's why this is the time for the Midland Main Line to get the investment it so badly needs. I know that this debate is being watched outside the House by a good number of supporters of the upgrade works and electrification. I am very grateful to all those who have been so generous with their thoughts and suggestions in helping me prepare for tonight's debate. In particular, I wanted to thank the East Midlands Councils, the Association of Train Operating Companies, Network Rail, the CBI in the East Midlands, LANRAC, the Derby and Derbyshire Rail Forum and the Rail Freight Group. Indeed, as Jim Bamford of Nottinghamshire County Council has said to me, I think it is a real strength of the campaign that all the key players, Network Rail, East Midlands Trains and a wide range of local stakeholders have such a united view on the need for a complementary package of upgrade works followed by electrification. So although I realise that my right honourable friend is unable to announce tonight that the Midland Main Line is to receive the investment we all hope for, I hope that she will at least be left in no doubt about the strength of support for the upgrade and electrification works both inside and outside the chamber. In the time available, I thought it would be most helpful if I set out briefly what we, as Midlands MPs, are all looking for and why. The initial industry plan... Yes, of course I will.
I feel bound just to point out that some of us are northerners here as well. It does go a bit further.
I entirely take the Honourable Lady's suggestion, comment, and she is indeed absolutely right, and I stand corrected. The initial industry plan for England and Wales sets out how the rail industry can deliver a more efficient and better value railway, and how our railways can play a key role in driving sustainable economic growth. The plan examines the key choices and options facing funders in specifying the future outputs of the railway and the level of funding required. These choices will inform the development of the government's high-level output specification as statement of funds available for Control Period 5, which runs from 2014 to 2019. This spending statement is due to be published in July 2012. The initial industry plan identifies providing additional capacity on long-distance services operating on the Midland Main Line as a key investment choice. The electrification network route utilisation strategy identified the Midland Main Line as a route for which there was likely to be a strong business case for extending the electrification of the line to the north as far as Sheffield. Yes, of course I will.
Can I congratulate her on securing the debate, but congratulate her also on taking great care to talk about upgrade and electrification. Would she agree with me that there has been a problem with the debate in that it's often talked about in terms of the shorthand of electrification, and absolutely critical to reducing journey times is the upgrade, which is actually the smaller cost part of the package anyway?
thank the honourable gentleman very much indeed for his points, and he's absolutely right, and that's one of the things that I have really discovered in terms of researching what my remarks are tonight. And in fact, when I applied for the debate, the title actually was electrification, but in the course of preparing, I really understood the fact that it's not, the two go hand in hand, and actually we must have the upgrade works first in order then to have electrification, and that's got to be the way around. It has to be, the works would have to be done. So I thank him very much indeed for making that so clear. As I said, the route utilisation strategy identified the Midland Main Line as a route for which there was likely to be a strong business case for extending electrification to the north as far as Sheffield. The decision to proceed with High Speed 2 has not affected that business case. What, therefore, are we looking for? Well, as I've just said, first of all, the upgrade works, which comprise major re-signalling schemes around Derby and Leicester, a number of line speed improvements. Perhaps my right honourable friend is already aware, but I wasn't, that 125 mph trains have never yet travelled at 125 miles per hour on this bit of the Midland Main Line. We are debating tonight because the track was not improved at the time they were launched to allow them to do so. And also we want to see longer trains. Then after the upgrade works, we would like to see electrification for the Bedford to Sheffield part of the line via Wellingborough, Kettering, Corby, Leicester, Derby, Nottingham and Chesterfield. As I wrote that, I thought I was beginning to sound like one of the train announcers. Why do I and so many others believe the Midland Main Line's time has come? Firstly, there is expected to be a huge growth in passenger demand on the Midland Main Line, which has been identified in the East Midlands route utilisation strategy. I can tell the House, just from my own observations, that the line continues to get busier and busier. Already 13.2 million passengers travel on the Midland Main Line each year. That is over double the number who travelled on the line at the time of privatisation, and the number keeps growing. Network Rail estimate that by 2020, the numbers travelling from the East Midlands to London will have increased by 27% and from Nottingham to Birmingham by 42%. Secondly, these upgrade and electrification works are an essential component of establishing an integrated long-distance rail network alongside High Speed 2. Those banging the drum for the Midland Main Line have waited whilst the government has assessed High Speed 2. Now that it's going ahead, we believe the improvements to the Midland Main Line must happen too. Thirdly, the Midland Main Line connects 4 of England's largest cities and one of the fastest growing areas in England to London and vice versa. I do, as I said earlier, sometimes feel the Midlands is...
My honourable friend give way on that point.
Of course I will.
I thank my honourable friend for securing this debate, and I'd like to add my weight to her arguments. Economically, North West Cheshire, my constituency, is one of the fastest economically growing areas in the country, despite the fact that of the over 2,000 railway stations, not one of them is located within my constituency. My constituents already have to travel to get onto the railway line. They should not be further handicapped by longer journey times than needs to be. I want these improvements. My constituency want these improvements to the Midlands Main Line. Yeah.
I thank the my honourable friend, my neighbour, very much indeed for the point that he's made, and he's absolutely right. I'm going to come on to talk about freight as well, which is also a very important part, of, particularly of the growing economy within his constituency. Yes, of course I will.
To the honourable lady for giving way, and she's speaking incredibly eloquently, and I'm very happy to support the argument she's making. And if I may say so, I have the indulgence of the House. Also, thank the Minister for meeting myself and my right honourable friend, the member for Leicester East, recently. Further to the point that the member for North West Leicestershire was making, I believe that I saw some statistics recently which suggested that the conurbations that the Midland Main Line serves is likely to grow by something in the region of 800,000 over the next 20 years or so. So there's clearly a demand for this service, but there's clearly also huge economic benefits. Upgrade of the Midland Main Line would bring huge benefits to Leicester, for example, and also, I imagine, Loughborough.
Nicky Morgan.
I thank the honourable gentleman very much indeed, and he's absolutely right. And that's why, as I say, the time for the Midland Main Line investment has definitely come. Reducing journey times between our cities and London will help our businesses access markets and improve the effectiveness of our labour markets. An independent report prepared for East Midlands Councils and South Yorkshire Passenger Transport Executive estimated that upgrading and electrifying the Midland Main Line would generate £450 million worth of wider economic benefits in terms of higher business productivity. This, of course, includes the creation of hundreds of jobs through construction activities and the refurbishment works on the trains themselves, as well as encouraging more businesses to relocate and invest around the Midland Main Line corridor as journey times reduce. The main constraint on time taken to complete a journey is the speed limits which have to be put in place if the track does not allow trains to travel at their top speeds. We can all appreciate the benefits of saying to employees and customers that a journey from London to, say, Leicester is only 60 minutes rather than well over an hour. Fourth, the government is rightly focused on reducing costs, which ultimately helps us to tackle the deficit and the national debt. Electrification significantly reduces the costs of rolling stock, energy, track access and maintenance. The latest estimates, as I've already mentioned, suggest that electrifying the line from Bedford to Sheffield would save up to £60 million every year in industry costs. That means within 10 years of completion, the electrification of the line between Bedford and Sheffield will have paid for itself and will continue to reduce the cost of rail to the taxpayer year on year. Fifth, as a letter from the Rail Freight Group to my right honourable friend said, the East Midlands area is a growing hub for logistics activities. There are a number of active proposals for rail-linked distribution along the route. Such facilities are essential for rail freight growth and also to economic prosperity and job creation in the region. Yes, of course I will.
I'm very grateful to the Honourable Lady for her giving way, and she's absolutely right about the importance of logistics to the East Midlands. Chesterfield and Junction 29A, Skinner's Junction as it's known colloquially in the area, plays an important part in making sure our road network is accessible. But our rail network does fall behind. So constituents in Chesterfield would absolutely recognise the economic benefits of improving our logistics capacity through the electrification and upgrade of the Midland Main Line machine.
I thank the honourable gentleman very much indeed for his remarks. He and I have indeed often met on East Midlands train services, so we again are personal users of the Midland Main Line, and we know how important it is. But he's absolutely right about freight and the importance of ensuring we get freight off the roads and onto the rail, and that's why we need to have the upgrade and electrification works. So Network Rail have told me that they estimate that by 2020, freight usage on the line will have increased by 50%. And finally, electric trains are quieter and emit less carbon dioxide per vehicle mile. It is estimated that electrification of the route from Bedford to Sheffield would slash carbon emissions by up to 12,000 tonnes. Yes, of course.
I'm grateful to her for giving way. And my congratulations to all those others for securing this important debate. Would she agree the one real disadvantage for the East Midlands is that people can get to London so much quicker by driving to Tamworth and going on the West Coast Main Line, or over to Grantham or Newark to go on the East Coast Main Line. Actually, if we can get the East Midland Main Line train up to the right speed, we can lose all those wasted car journeys as well.
My honourable friend is absolutely right, and that's right about the case. You know, to get people out of their cars and onto the rail, not just freight but also passengers, is incredibly important. And I think it also says something about the Midlands, that again, to repeat the phrase, the time for investment has very much come. The Midlands is a growing, important area for our economy, and it needs this investment.
On that point with the Honourable Lady.
Yes, of course.
Again, let me add my congratulations to the Honourable Lady for securing this debate. I'm delighted that the Minister is with us today, who knows so much about what's going on in Derby, and this is an absolute excellent opportunity for us to think about investing again in the area, the technology centre that we hope is going to come to Derby, and other important investments with Bombardier and very new, innovative electrification arrangements for trains and carriages. It just seems like it's an idea, just the time is of the essence and of the moment. So congratulations.
I thank the Honourable Lady very much indeed, and I think it would probably, perhaps on her behalf and on behalf of the other Derbyshire MPs, I should mention the front page of the Derby Telegraph today, which the Prime Minister, I understand, was presented with, which made it very clear that people in Derby and Derbyshire, led by their Members of Parliament, are very much behind electrification. So I congratulate all the campaigners who have so ably supported this debate this evening. In conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, allow me to draw these factors together. The government is rightly focused on doing everything we can to grow our economy. Successful businesses in the Midlands are critical to ensuring our nation's economic growth. The government has also rightly signalled its commitment to investing in our national infrastructure. Here is a project of enhancements, upgrade works and electrification, which will cost a significant amount, but which will cut the cost of running the railway by up to £60 million each year. A project which is good for businesses and our regional economies in so many different ways, and which the Midlands has waited a very long time and very patiently for. We have the slowest speeds to and from London of any intercity route. Nottingham and Sheffield are the last two of the 8 core cities with no electrified line in place or promised. Transport ministers, including my right honourable friend, have clearly stated the government's commitment to electrification. I would ask that she should now give the Midland Main Line top priority as the government decides on the spending priorities for this control period 5. I, my constituents, members across the House and many, many people in the Midlands and the North await the July announcement with great interest. Thank you.